Well, hey everybody, we're recording episode 2 of Life Downloaded. We're currently surrounded by a whole bunch of construction work outside Life Downloaded Towers, aka Sam's flat, so it might get a bit noisy, but what did we talk about, Sam?
We complained a lot about the weather, the heat.
The heat.
We are moist, but not in a good way.
Moist, but not in a good way. And we also talked about Christmas in July.
We did. Sorry.
Sam's visit to the Houses of Parliament.
Yeah. And we also touched on Queer Eye. Does anyone watch that, Queer Eye? So one of their episodes, we got an interesting debate, didn't we, Dan?
Yeah, we went a bit in depth on that one, so look out for that. And of course, like everybody right now, we even had a bit of a chat about that old Face app thing.
Oh yeah, that fate. Oh, I don't like it, Dan. Don't like it at all.
But listen to what we had to say, because this is episode 2 of Life Downloaded, Moist, but not in a good way. Coming up right after this musical interlude.
Hurrah!
Well, hey there everybody. Sam,
We're back!
we're back. This is episode 2. People actually listened to episode 1.
Days.
Oh.
My days. So our first episode was called Let's Hope We Aren't Shit. And clearly we weren't that shit.
No, like the feedback we've had, like some of you guys on all our social medias that we asked you to follow us on. So at Life Downloaded, let's get that out there really quickly. Spelt the same way as the podcast. I will spell it out probably later. All your feedback was amazing. We retweeted it on the Life Downloaded podcast Twitter, and like you were all really, really nice. And apparently, you know, we made people almost spit up their drinks laughing.
Yes.
And
we didn't pay these people to say nice things either.
No, we didn't.
Which really helped.
It's like genuine feedback, which is amazing. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
And
also,
girls and everybody in between.
We've noticed that, so we were looking at who was listening to us from all over the world, and there was one listener from Germany. So I have to say, also danke, das war sehr, sehr nett. Vielen Dank. For those of you who don't know, I speak a little bit of German. So my mother kommt aus Deutschland, is German. So ich sage danke sehr.
Okay, we also had somebody listen from South Korea. However, my Korean is not even worth going. But thank you all the same, wherever you were listening, whether it be the UK, Ireland, Germany, Finland, the US, anywhere in the world. Like, you guys have been listening from awesome places. We hope you enjoyed it. And judging by the feedback, you kind of did.
Yay.
So, here we are, episode 2. What are we calling this one?
Oh, I don't know. We haven't thought that far ahead, have we? I think because the temperature is ridiculous in London or in the UK at the moment, I am moist, but not in a nice way.
Moist, but not in a nice way.
So I think we should call this something about, like, you know, like, bloody hell, it's bloody boiling.
Or shall we just call it moist, but not in a nice way?
Well, maybe we should.
Okay then, everybody.
Moist, but not in a nice way. Episode 2.
Episode 2, moist, but not in a nice way. Of course, following our previously mentioned episode, Let's Hope It's Not Shit. So, as you can see, we really think these titles through.
We really do. A lot of preparation goes into these podcasts.
So, yeah. Episode 2, moist, but not in a nice way. If you haven't listened to episode 1 yet and you're like, oh my god, I must have missed something amazing.
Shame on you.
Shame on you, but we're not shaming you really. It's still available on all your favourite podcasting platforms. Go listen to it. Help us get those listener numbers even higher than they already are. And we hope you enjoy it. But yes, we are officially into episode 2, moist, but not in a nice way.
No, but it's like really intense at the moment. I love the UK, but the weather is pretty rubbish. So, like, you just never know from one day to the next. And this week has been extremely hot. Yesterday, I was delivering inclusion and equality training at the Houses of Parliament, which was very exciting. But I know, right? Look at me, posh. But we were in a tiny little room, and there was about 30 of us, and there wasn't any aircon, and it was torture. It was torture. Last night, did you sleep well last night, Dan? Because I had my fan on last night. Then I kept waking up going, oh my God, is my fan gonna, kind of burst into flames? Because I've had it running for so long. Did you sleep at all last night, Dan?
I have to say, like, probably much to the chagrin of everybody, I did actually sleep okay last night. Yeah, I had the fan, and I found a tip online about putting a moist flannel over the front of your fan. Because it cools the air down, you see.
Epic fail on my part.
So there you go. Dan gives you life hacks on moist, but not in a nice way. So yeah, cold, damp flannel. Obviously not dripping because your fan's electric. But if you've got an old style fan with like a grill across the front, put a damp, cold flannel over the front of the fan, and it cools the air down as it shifts.
I'm a little bit worried about you giving this advice. I don't want anyone to get injured.
Yes, if anybody gets injured, we like administer any responsibility.
Yeah, no,
it's not our fault.
It's not our fault at all.
But yeah, so there you go. I actually did sleep last night, and of course, here in the UK yesterday, we broke like temperature records.
Oh, we did. What was it, like
38.9 or something. I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but at the time of recording yesterday, we broke like the hottest day ever seen in the UK, which is craziness, and it's been happening all over Europe.
Global warming.
Indeed. I tend to think it does exist as much as many people would say to the contrary.
Anyway, let's not get too political.
No,
however, I was at the Houses of Parliament yesterday. I did not run into our new Prime Minister, which is Boris Johnson. I'm quite glad I didn't run into him because I, living life downloaded, being at crotch level, he might have had a little bit of a punch in the crotch.
Accidentally,
on purpose.
Well.
So Boris Johnson is our new Prime Minister. Don't really know how you listeners feel about that. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not a conservative at all. But again, let's not go too political, Dan. Dan, what have you, my pod husband, what have you been up to this week?
Well,
and before you get into that, I feel really bad because Dan is my pod husband, and normally I supply him with, a lot of nice little treats when he comes over to my home and we do the podcast. Like, I have like all different like snacks, and I have nothing for him today. I feel like I'm not being a good pod wife at the moment, so I do apologise.
It's okay. I'll let you off.
Did you notice that though? Were you thinking in your head like, darn it, she has not given me my pretzels?
Well, they're never guaranteed, but I was a bit like, no snacks.
Right.
But of course, those of you that follow us on Instagram at Life Downloaded will have seen me sat there with my snack pack that I took home after episode 1. Because we do try and share stuff on the social media that you won't necessarily get from the podcast. But yes, so everybody that follows us on Instagram can actually vouch for the fact that, the snack pack existed.
Snack pack. Did you eat that on the train?
I did eat that on the train. Yep, it kept me going.
Was it good?
It was good. It kept me going.
My job here is done.
Now, before I get on to what I've, been doing this week, which is crazy, and we'll get to that in a minute, while we're talking about politicians...
Oh, do we have to?
Yeah, but, this isn't majorly political, but it's just one of those things that I thought about. I'm quite into politics, and I follow it and everything else, and for a while... I don't know if you remember, Sam, but there was a big thing in the media like a few months ago about the Tory politician power stance.
What?
Yeah, I wondered if you remembered or not. Like, they were talking about it on all sort of the comedy shows.
I try and block out a lot to do with politics. It's not because I am not interested, but sometimes I just think, when you listen to news, you think, my goodness, I just don't want negativity in my life, and British politics is just so negative at the moment. So I dip in and out when I need to, but please enlighten me, Dan, because what you just said is news to me.
Okay, so this was a while ago. Like this was months ago. I'm not saying this happened recently, but it became a thing. I think it was around the time that our now former Prime Minister Theresa May was vouching to become Prime Minister.
When she isn't running through cornfields.
In fields of wheat. Indeed.
Is that, yeah.
I believe so. It was wheat.
Fields.
Yeah. And people have observed that a lot of, especially the male Tory politicians, were standing there with their legs as widespread as they could possibly get them in like a power stance.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, I was thinking, because more and more deaf and disabled people are getting involved in politics.
Amazingly.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Right.
On like a professional level, whether that be, you know, Tanny Gray-Thompson in the House of Lords, or, you know, I believe, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, which is terrible, but the disability ministers for the shadow cabinet for the Labour Party is visually impaired. I'm sorry that I can't remember.
You're rubbish, but I don't know either. So.
Yeah, so but that's no comment on her as a politician. That's just I really can't.
We're rubbish with names.
Indeed. You know, she's visually impaired as far as I'm aware. So yeah, more and more deaf and disabled people are getting into politics, which is amazing. But if you were down low like us and you're a wheelchair user, what's the wheelchair equivalent to the Tory power stance?
I don't know.
Do you know? Should we go in with a double bicep?
I mean,
flex,
when you say that, I just think of the Maori haka. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that stance, which is beautiful. My auntie is a Maori, so
yeah.
You know, I like that is amazing. But
your family is well diverse.
Yeah, I know, right? Get me. Yeah, but my you know, when you say that, you know, that this kind of overbearing, you know, like showing power, I just think of the haka. You know, I don't know what. I just like to run over people's toes with my wheelchair, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe we just run over people. What would your, you know, get involved on social media? We love to hear your responses. What would your if you are a wheelchair user, what would your wheelchair user power stance be? You know, they can go all wide-legged, but obviously for a lot of wheelchair users, that's not possible. So is it
it's not flattering, let's face it.
It's not. But, you know, is it a double bicep flex? Is it a, you know, what is it? What is your wheelchair
like
power stance?
Rolling into people.
Yeah. Send us images on Instagram.
Really?
Why not?
Really?
I want to see your wheelchair power stances. Send them.
Keep them clean, though, people.
Yeah,
keep them clean. No nudity.
No
Thank
nudity.
you.
Where you can be as confident with your nude body as you like to be, and all power to you. But we don't necessarily need to see.
No, I get enough of them in my DMs.
Do you get people sliding into your DMs?
Oh, inappropriate.
Oh, see, as a guy, I don't get that so much, and that
I'll send you some. It's fine.
I don't necessarily want to see the people that slide into your DMs, madam.
No, yeah, exactly. Not of me. just the ones that slide into my DM.
Yeah.
I'll forward them on to you.
I will consider it an education, I'm sure, of how the male side of the species is really letting the side down.
Yeah.
Okay, but moving on. What have I been up to this week?
Yes, go on. Tell me, share all.
Well, what if I said to you, we've had the hottest week in history for like the UK. Probably not overall, but at least one day. We've had the hottest day of the year. And for me this week, it was Christmas.
What? That's a word I do not want to hear, Dan.
Now, a lot of people will be like, oh my God, he's talking about Christmas in July. At the time of recording, it's still July. But yeah, it's been Christmas for me this week.
Why? Tell me, explain, elaborate.
Because I can't give a huge amount of details because you know how our industry works.
Oh, embargo.
Yeah, and NDAs and all that kind of stuff. But I was filming and doing still photography for Christmas stuff.
Hurrah!
In July this week, everybody. Now, I want, for those of you that are listening from the UK, think back to this really hot week. Think back to Tuesday when temperatures topped 34 degrees centigrade.
When we were moist, but not in a good way.
Indeed. Moist, but not in a good way. 34 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is Fahrenheit. I can never know. I could ask Siri on the podcast, but, that'd be a bit random.
Or Alexa.
Or Alexa, yeah.
She doesn't like me at the moment, but that's another story.
Of course, you're just getting to know your Alexa.
I am.
But yeah, 34 degrees centigrade, which is close to like 90-something Fahrenheit.
It's hot, people.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot. And I'm filming stuff for Christmas, right?
Did you have to wear like jumpers and stuff?
I was in...
Like Christmas jumpers,
Oh.
like with baubles on and stuff.
No baubles, thankfully. But obviously, when it comes to advertising stuff for Christmas, one of the big things that gets pushed at Christmas is Christmas party wear.
Wow.
Yeah? You know what I mean? All the sparkly dresses.
Glitter.
And the suits that are a bit funky.
Sequins.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So that meant for me, in 34 degrees centigrade heat, I was wearing a roll neck turtleneck jumper and a velvet suit.
Love it.
So I was definitely moist. And what made it worse...
But not in a good way, Dan.
Not in the good way. But what made it worse was I'm in 34 degree heat in a turtleneck jumper,
Wow.
a velvet suit with under studio lights.
Oh.
With...
Those dawn lights.
Indeed. With no air conditioning.
Do you know what? That says to me that you are dedicated to your art.
I am. I suffered. But no, it really was a good day. And, maybe when it gets closer to Christmas, I can reflect and go, oh, that was amazing. And then, go, guys, check this out if you want to see me do random stuff towards Christmas. But
this is what I love about our industry is even though I really enjoy being on set and doing shoots and everything, but it kind of ruins the illusion for you. Like, I can now not watch television in the same way because I know how, the behind the scenes, what goes on, and I know exactly that, there might be smiley faces, but everyone's actually cursing everyone and everyone kind of hates each other, no, that's not true. Like, it's always a fun experience, but yeah, it's TV and media, it works in a very funny way, doesn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to things like soaps or commercials, you generally work, and case in point, I'm filming this in July, you generally work 6 months ahead.
Yeah.
Always. Like, we can film stuff or take pictures for stuff or whatever we're doing, and it doesn't come out for months.
And I forget about it, and then people message me going, I've just seen you on the telly. And I'm like, oh yeah, that.
Yeah.
It's so random. Or you'll even wake up yourself and you'll turn the telly on. It's awful. I'm not even going to lie. When you forget about something and then you're flicking through the channels and you see yourself on the telly from something you filmed months and months ago. It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre.
It is. But do you know what's even more bizarre, Sam?
Yes, tell me.
Is that when we're old and wrinkly...
I'm never going to get old. What are you talking about?
Okay,
Quiet.
You're never going to get old. Sam is perpetually 21.
Yeah.
And looks amazing on it, let's be fair.
Oh, thank you, babes.
But yeah, when we're old and wrinkly, we will be able to watch stuff we filmed and still see ourselves in our 20s and our 30s. And that's one thing that I find really strange is especially with talents that we've lost too soon. Take Freddie Mercury, for example.
Oh,
right?
Legend.
Absolute legend in the music business. But Freddie is perpetually one age. He doesn't age. Because obviously he can't, but he doesn't age. And that's quite a strange concept.
Well, what is it? The young, what is it? The young die. No, what am I trying to say? The most amazing die young, So
yeah.
I don't even know what
the
I'm
good
about.
die early.
Good, yeah, exactly. But it's quite sad. We've got Amy Winehouse. You've got, what's the guy from Nirvana? That one.
Kurt Cobain.
That's the one. So it's weird, but this is one of the fascinations that I had with working in television, is that I've always got this kind of legacy in a weird way, and if I have children, they'd always be able to, go online and see what their mother used to be get up to when she was younger.
Indeed, and if they listen to this podcast, oh my, the things they will learn.
Don't do it. Future children, no.
Sam banning her future children from listening to this podcast.
No, not allowed.
But talking of aging, did you see in the news about the crazy face app, aging thing?
So, what a pain in the bottom that was. Every second Instagram post was this stupid face aging app. I swore not to do it, just because I don't particularly want to know what I look like when I am older. But
you're perpetually 21, Sam. We've just established.
Exactly. But my lovely sister, who decided that she would do that for the whole family, without us knowing, and then she posted it on Facebook. So I didn't want to do it, but then all of a sudden on my news feed, I was tagged in something with a picture of me with a stupid face aging app. So thanks, sister. Love you lots. Just to note that I will get you back, and it will be savage when I get you back.
And it's on the podcast, so it's like law.
Exactly. Seriously, thanks, mate. Thanks. But what was intriguing, so not to kind of put a somber note on it, but my father sadly passed away in 96. He was very young. He was 38. He died suddenly of a brain hemorrhage. And when this face agent app came out, I was tempted to maybe submit a photo of my father to see what he would look like. He'd be about 68 now. So I kind of was quite curious to see what my dad would look like now if he was still around. I chickened out because I just felt a bit weird. What would you have done, Dan? Do you reckon I should have done it?
I don't know.
Strange one, isn't it?
That's quite really deep and personal, but yeah, I guess it depends how much it intrigues you. But like I say, that goes back to, in the same way that Freddie Mercury is the same. Your dad always looks a certain way to you, the way you remember your dad, and it's the same.
He was very dashing, he was. He was a looker.
And it's the same. I lost my dad when I was in my early 20s. So again, my dad won't age any further either, and you kind of remember them how they are. I don't know if I'd do it. I hadn't thought about that personally.
It depends how accurate it is.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if it is accurate, then I'd be inclined to do it.
My personal experiences with the whole face app is I did it on myself, because I actually had face app before it went viral again.
Oh, look at you, ahead of the time.
I tried to be. So if they are stealing information, they've had mine for a while.
Oh yeah, the Russians.
Yeah.
Russians, if you're listening, I take it back.
Yeah, we love you. No. But yeah, I signed up for it a while ago. But I did it again when it all went crazy, because I was like, let's have a look. And I actually did it, and I looked scarily like my nan's cousin. It's uncanny. All my family went, oh my God, you look like this person. And even I looked at it and went, I did, and I just sort of confirmed it with my family. So it's obviously got some pretty good algorithm.
Yeah.
Because my family would never have associated me looking like this particular cousin before this point.
And you looked like you were a proper silver fox.
Silver
fox.
See?
I've seen it.
Sam has seen it. I haven't shared it publicly. I don't feel the need to. But I
wasn't mortified by it, but you will not be seeing mine because I looked horrendous.
I'm sure you looked as glamorous as ever.
No, honestly, I'm not even being modest. It was shocking.
Well, there you go. Sam's face app was shocking.
Shocking.
I look like my cousin. If you have done it, how did it turn out for you guys? If you feel brave enough to share yours.
Oh no! Don't encourage this. I don't want to see anymore. I don't care.
Okay, Sam doesn't want to see anymore.
Don't. I don't want to see your aged face. All right? I'm not being ageist. I just don't want to.
Fair enough. But we love to see your natural faces.
Yes.
Preferably listening to our podcast and enjoying it thoroughly.
Exactly.
So if you want to send us like pictures of you listening to the podcast with like big thumbs up or whatever, go for it.
We want to know who is listening to us.
Go for it, yeah, because we're trying to build a little bit of a life downloaded community, I suppose.
Exactly.
We love a bit of regulars. It's kind of like an audio pub, I suppose. Is life downloaded, and we are your barkeeps.
Are we though? Free alcohol? Look, I'm looking at my gin going, let's hurry up with this podcast so I can have a gin and tonic.
To be fair, you did promise to be drunk.
No, it's too early.
It's too early.
Too early, and I've had such a busy week. And I've stopped. This is going to probably make me sound like I have a problem. I really don't. But I've kind of stopped drinking during the week, only because my work I'm freelance, so my work is, from day to day differs. And I can be getting up quite early in the morning to do television and things, which is fantastic. So I genuinely just can't have a hangover anymore. I can't afford to do that. And now I'm in my 30s, which obviously isn't old, but I've definitely noticed my tolerance for alcohol is not as it used to be. So I've kind of had a proper cleanse, which is nice. I am feeling the benefits of it. But yeah, it is the weekend. I'm off to a barbecue in Kent tomorrow. So I might indulge tomorrow. But that might go really wrong, because when you've not had a drink for a while and then you start drinking again, like one drink just goes to your head, doesn't it?
Well, I wouldn't know, darling.
I know of course you wouldn't. So listeners,
and everybody in between.
you know what I'm going on about. But anyway, there's something that I kind of wanted to talk about in today's pod. And it's about the show Queer Eye.
Queer Eye?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan, have you heard of it? Do you watch it? What's going on? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know of Queer Eye. I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan? No?
I'm not a fan. But then, disclosure here before we start talking about this. I am not a fan of quote-unquote reality TV generally.
Fair enough. Okay.
So, I have my issues with reality TV.
It's not your thing. That's fine.
Well, also, I think calling it reality TV these days is farcical because it's unrealistic on a lot of levels, and I'm an actor and it keeps me out of work. So, it's a case of I'm throwing that on the table. I'm not the biggest fan of reality TV.
Just you're not your cup of tea. I am a massive fan of Queer Eye, and I was thinking the same as you before I started watching. I thought, this is going to be really cheesy, very forced. But honestly, the new Queer Eye has surpassed my expectations, and I do feel like they, on the whole, kind of deal with situations in a very sensitive, compassionate way, and it is such a beautiful show to watch on many levels. Queer Eye is best known as a show about, acceptance and personal growth. And it's also a show about transforming someone's life. So transforming their wardrobe, transforming their environment, so their home, so designing their home. But they had one, so they're on the 4th series, I think. And they had one episode, and it was titled Disabled But Not Really.
Ooh.
Okay. So, before we get into the kind of the nitty-gritty of it, I watched it because I'm a fan of the show, so I just watched it. You know what it's like on Netflix, just watch one after another after another. And it came
you were
on.
binging.
It came on, and it showed a guy called Wesley Hamilton, and he is a wheelchair user. He became a wheelchair user after being shot. So he wasn't always disabled, and he, a few years ago, he became disabled through, he was a bit of a gangster, basically, and he got shot. But now he is an activist and an athlete that is very prominent within his own community and an advocate of the disabled community. However, his charity or his organisation is called Disabled But Not Really. That is why Queer Eye titled that episode disabled but not really. So, taking away the fact that I am a disabled campaigner and I am just a viewer, I enjoyed the episode purely because, this is like a spoiler alert, but Wesley had a very codependent relationship with his mother, which I can completely relate to, and it showed their relationship growing throughout the show. And Wesley also came face to face with the person that shot him, and it was a very beautiful moment because he actually forgave the person. So from that point of view, from sociology, point of view, it was a very empowering episode to watch. However, from a disability campaigner, stepping back, I was very disappointed on how disability was portrayed. Dan, you've watched it, haven't you?
I have. Like I say, I don't normally watch. I watched it because we'd sort of mentioned talking about it on the podcast, so I thought I have to watch it because I can't go in not having a clue and not having an opinion, because otherwise what's the point in talking about it? I have watched it. I think I have to lay this caveat out here now, because having looked at the analytics and the figures for the podcast, I know we have listeners in the UK and in the US, and it's my personal opinion. You can agree with it, you can throw it away, you can do whatever you want with it, that the disabled and disability people's movements in the States and in the US and the UK are in very different places to begin with. Mm-hmm. I personally feel, from my own experience, that the UK is a bit further forward than the US. But I think we've been battling for it for longer, so hence why. And I think you have to take that into account when dealing with the way the program itself deals with stuff. However, that is not an excuse. It is just a caveat. As a campaigner myself and not a fan of reality TV at the best of times, I very much agree with you. There was stuff that was amazing. Like you say, when he spoke to the guy that shot him and he was able to put that to bed for himself, that's amazing. All power to him. And the fact that he's been able to embrace his impairment and move forward how he sees fit, all power to him also. However, there was a lot of stuff in that episode that I found personally, because I'm, very staunch in my beliefs, I think, that I found personally very problematic.
Well, let's break that down, because obviously there might be listeners out there that haven't got a disability and are probably thinking, what on earth are we going on about? Yeah. Why are you getting your knickers in a twist? So, first of all, let's look at the title. Disabled but not really. Okay, so disability, or the word, calling myself disabled, is very subjective. Some people don't like the word, and some people really are proud of being disabled. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Yep. So Dan, with that title, what was the main issue, do you think?
I think, for me, I am somebody that believes in something called the social model, and it's a way of thinking, and I'll give listeners a quick overview of what that is, and other models that exist really quickly, because it is quite complex. But
the social model of disability.
Yeah. So the social model is a way of thinking that basically says it is not somebody's impairment. It is not the fact that I have cerebral palsy,
or I've got brittle bones,
or I walk with sticks, use a wheelchair part time, or any of that makes Sam or myself or anybody else with an impairment disabled.
May I interject? So, for example, we are sat here doing our podcast from my home in London, but my home is completely adapted. So I've got automatic doors, windows, my kitchen goes up and down on hydraulics. So within my home, I still have brittle bones, so I have my impairment, but I'm not actually disabled, because I can do everything I want to do independently in my home, because my environment allows me to do so.
Yeah, those disabling barriers of not being able to open the door, not being able to open the windows, not being able to use the kitchen have been removed.
Yeah.
And in turn, the other half of the social model argument is society's perceptions and attitudes towards disability. And the fact that people turning around and saying, oh, for example, you can't do that because you use a wheelchair.
Or I've had, if I was like you, I'd want to kill myself.
That kind of thing for myself and Sam, because I think it's fair to say you believe in the social model the same as I do, Sam, is disabling. Because with the right support, whether that be from another person or whether that be from a physical adaptation or whatever it may be.
Or attitudes.
Or attitudes, exactly. We are quite capable of doing whatever the heck we choose. And that is basically what the social model is built around. Now, from my understanding, and the use of language is very divisive for a lot of people. They they don't like the word disabled because it feels it takes away. I feel that changes when you look at it through the lens of the social model, which is why, for me, the title "Disabled but Not Really" makes no sense whatsoever, because I am disabled.
Exactly.
Under the social model, I'm disabled by society and the physical barriers I face. That's not, hopefully, I was going to say that's not going to change, but hopefully it will.
Yeah.
Through campaigning and through people realising what the social model is. So that's one of the reasons the title is so problematic.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that the title, they use that title, but it was actually his organisation that was called that. Disabled but not really. But I think the main problem is with this is like they've tried to be inclusive by having someone with a disability.
Yes.
But actually they've been quite negative by saying that disabled but not really because it's a dirty word. Like you're not really disabled. It's like, but it's okay to be disabled.
Yeah.
That's fine. I identify as being disabled, but that's not a horrible or dirty word.
No.
I'm disabled because society has made me this way. So we shouldn't reject it. We actually need to use the word disability and disabled to remind the world that, you are making me disabled.
Indeed. And like getting into the episode itself, one of the things that stood out to me was when Wesley and the guy, sorry, I can't remember the guy's name, I don't watch the show, but they were walking around the supermarket. And Wesley turned around and said, well, I can't, I'll only have sweet potatoes because they're the things I can reach. Now, I am a proud man. I understand male pride. It's a ridiculous thing. But I would argue to dear Wesley that customer service in the States is crazy at the best of times.
It really is.
I've been there.
They go all out.
They go all out. You walk into Walmart and they're like, "Hi, how are you? How's your day?
It's like, leave me alone.
Are you having a good day? Are you this? Are you that?"
I was until you started talking to me, so leave me alone.
Right? So, in a country where customer service is so key, I can only think that it's male pride that stops Wesley asking, "Could you please reach that off the shelf for me? Thanks." Do you know what I mean?
But I think they might have done that to dramatise. But this is the thing, that the whole pitying disabled people. Oh, he can't reach that, so the only thing he can eat is a sweet potato. And it's like, we don't need pity, actually. You know?
You know, when we were really campaigning, I say really, I wasn't old enough to campaign, but when the deaf and disabled community were really campaigning in the 80s, we were chaining ourselves to buses in London. We're wearing T-shirts saying the words "piss on pity." So that's how a lot of the deaf and disabled community feel about pity. But yeah, so like American customer service is second to none. If you ask somebody to reach off the shelf, they'll do it doing a backflip.
I mean, I'm so vocal anyway. Like I have very little pride in that respect. But, if I need shoving up a hill, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'll just shout at random people in the street. Excuse me, love. Will you come and give me a push up this hill?
Yeah, I mean, the only difference is now you probably have to give an autograph because they go, oh, it's you off the Maltesers commercial.
Yeah, I know, I do.
So, it's like a bartering session. Push me up the hill and I'll sign the bit.
Exactly. I'll give you what you want. If you want a selfie, it's fine. Just help me up the hill.
But yeah, so, that troubled me. Oh, don't get me wrong. From a positive perspective, I learnt things on the show that, for example, they went, go to a tailor and get your jacket shortened. And I went,
oh, yeah, that was great, actually, wasn't it?
I went, that's actually genius.
Yeah.
As somebody that likes to wear a suit jacket and, often uses a chair, I'm always rubbing jackets on my wheels. I'm always, going, oh, there's a massive tile mark up my jacket.
This is why I'm naked all the time, just to avoid that, to be honest.
Yeah, the things I've seen doing this part, no.
No, don't you lie.
No.
Take it back.
I take it back. But...
Focus.
Yeah, back in the room.
Back in the room. I am not naked.
I can safely say Sam is not naked right now. Just moist, but not in the good way.
Moist, but not in a good way.
So yeah, that was genius. The only issue with me for that is that because I'm a part-time chair user, I'd either have to have a wardrobe full of multiple jackets.
Yeah.
Or transformer jackets.
No, but it was great that they gave that tip. And do you know what? To come to the defense of the Fab Five, as they call themselves, the five presenters, that I think that was eye-opening to them. I think the actual production team, they were the ones that actually didn't portray disability in a great light. I think for the actual presenters, that was an amazing experience for them because maybe they've never even come into contact with anyone disabled. So I think there's still a long way to go. I don't think it was a car crash. I really don't.
It wasn't god-awful, but my God, it could have been better.
It could have been better. But I think the guys, the Fab Five, did the best with that. And they genuinely wanted to enrich Wesley's life.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yeah, totally. I just wish I had 5 gay guys that would turn up to my house.
I can arrange that. I'll arrange that for you.
Yeah, but will they pay to redesign it like they did for him?
Maybe not.
Because I'm sure you can have 5 gay guys turn up.
All my gay friends find you very attractive, so I'm sure we can arrange that.
Well, thank you very much, Sam's gay friends. That's very kind. But yeah, if they want to come and rearrange my life, feel free. But it's another thing that really, really troubled me with the episode, and a lot of this was brought to light by I think it was a blog post that you sent to me.
An article,
or an article by somebody called Alex Haggard and Liz Jackson. So they've also written about this. So
they feel the same.
We're not reinventing the wheel here. But there was another point that troubled me. And it was the fact that, and I think they mentioned it in the article, I could be wrong and I might have imagined it, but I'm sure they did. Wesley was a regular gym goer. I mean, the guy had won bodybuilding competitions. Fair play to him. The guy was jacked. He's put in the work. But he was like, look at the button the gym put in for me. And I appreciate that button. God, yes, that's making the world accessible. It's a good thing. But by rights, the gym should have put that button in there anyway because of the equivalent of the US version of the Disability Discrimination Act.
I must have been on the toilet when that little bit happened because I don't remember that bit. But yeah, yes.
So, it's like the building has legal requirements to do such things in the US as they have legal requirements to do such things for here in the UK. And we can appreciate them being done, my God, but there's also a legal requirement that they should be done. So we don't necessarily need to get on our knees and worship the non-disabled community for going, thank you for giving us a button. Not that, we don't appreciate it, because we do. But really, it should be done anyway.
Should be done.
Because also, under the social model, we're getting really deep in this podcast. but also under the social model. The benefit of the social model isn't just for wheelchair users like me and Sam and other people with impairments. It's in fact for everybody, because if you make things accessible, they're going to be more accessible for your nan. They're going to be more accessible for your daughter that's just had a baby and has to push a giant pram everywhere. You know, they're going to be more accessible for all those people.
Exactly.
And this is what the social model is built on. And don't get me wrong, the social model probably isn't perfect. But there is no perfect model for anything. But it's a downside further forward than a lot of other thinking that basically goes, well, you're disabled, it's your fault, your life must be really crap. I quite like my life.
I love my life, I'm not even going to lie to you.
I tell you what, people often turn around to me and they go, you know, if you could not be disabled in the morning,
I get that a lot.
yeah, would you change it?
No.
And my answer is exactly the same, Sam. I wouldn't change it either.
No. And people can't fathom that, can they?
No. But it's part of who we are. And to be honest, like, if I woke up in the morning and went, my legs worked normally and my body worked in the quote-unquote normal way, because what is normal? But, like, in the non-disabled way, I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
No.
I'd be like...
Do you know what it is? I always say, like, because in the UK, the underground service is really quite poor. So
the tube in London.
Yeah, the tube, the underground stations. You know, so out of like 290 something tube stations, I think only like 60 something tube stations are accessible.
Yeah, it's some ridiculous figure.
It's really and even them aren't 100% accessible. But I kind of like say to people, well, actually, do you know what? I get a taxi from door to door service. You know, private driver, door to door, and you know, particularly in this heat, moist but not good moist, I would not know, you would have to pay me to be on the underground. So actually being disabled is a positive when we talk about, you know, being crammed into an underground station with someone who smells like, you know, a gone off prawn.
How many people have you been around that smell like gone off prawns?
There's been a few.
Has there really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, thankfully, I would just like to say, although it is moist but not really in Life Downloaded Towers right now, I think Sam will safely back me up in the fact that I don't smell like a gone off prawn.
It's fine. No, you don't. But I swear, you know, like I've got this cute little playsuit on, playsuit,
Yeah.
and it's very moist.
Very moist.
It's very moist. I do need to kick you out soon, Dan, and have a shower.
Well, there you go. She needs to kick me out and have a shower. But you know what, guys? We've got really deep into disability stuff today.
We have nothing wrong with that, my love.
No, but the come away with this podcast is, for us, you know, you're entitled to your own personal opinion, but for us, disabled isn't a bad word.
Nope.
In fact, disabled is probably the right word.
Yeah.
So non-disabled people, don't be scared to say it. I'll tell you what, we were talking about this as a possible thing on the podcast. Let me throw this out there. This is going to be our dodgy word of the week.
What is that dodgy word of the week?
Sam and I have talked about dodgy words of the week. So, well, we did when we were talking about setting up the podcast.
Oh, yeah. I forget. I've got goldfish memory. Like,
yeah, so
3 seconds gone.
We talked about dodgy words of the week and the fact that, you know, a lot of the non-disabled community get upset about what words they can use, what words they can't use. Generally, for us, disabled is a good word.
Yeah,
now,
fine.
Trigger warning, I'm going to probably say words that can be considered offensive, but I'm doing it for an educational purpose.
Oh, be careful.
Yeah. So, for example, handicapped.
No.
Right? Not a good word.
But in America, they use it a lot.
Yeah. And it's quite ironic that we're talking about handicapped while we're talking about how an American show portrays disability. But
yeah.
In America, it is an acceptable term. But in the UK, it is not. And for those that want a bit of information, like I say, for us, disabled is the right word.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that handicapped came around as a word is the origins of this word.
There's a lot of history. There is a lot of history with that word.
And there will be for a lot of the dodgy words of the week that we talk about. But handicap, to my understanding and to my knowledge, roots from this. It roots from the fact that in times gone by, in the Victorian era, in the, medieval era or whatever else.
Medieval, we're going way back there.
Well, yeah, but we'll say Victorian era because that's probably where it originated from. There'd be many disabled people because of working in factories and everything else that couldn't work. And when those people couldn't work...
Is that not the Industrial Revolution?
I'm
getting very technical now.
That's the one, the Industrial Revolution, yeah. When those people couldn't work, when there wasn't a welfare state, they would have to beg for money. They would have to take their cap off, hold it in their hand...
In the street.
And beg for money. And that is where the word handicap comes from.
Yeah, I mean, it is associated with sports, etc. And there is a whole history, but when we are relating it to disability, as I understand it, it's exactly what Dan has said. So don't use it. Just don't.
Yeah, don't use handicap.
Don't use it.
It's not a great word.
Don't do it.
I very rarely wear hats because I look like an idiot.
Exactly. And I don't want to be called a beggar. Okay?
Let alone being called a beggar and using it to gain your money. But let's be fair, if you want to give us money, we're not going to say no.
No.
But don't do it.
He retracts that statement.
Yeah. But don't do it because you feel sorry for us.
No.
Do it because we're doing a good job.
So Dan, we talked last time about what we found in our disabled toilet, and we had some people on social media messaging us. And do you have it handy?
I will find it.
Do you have it handy? Quickly. Do I need to fill this time while you scroll through your Twitter?
You do not need to fill this time.
Oh, you've got it.
Kevin Conroy,
hi Kevin.
Kevin Conroy, hi. He tweeted that one of the things he's found in
maybe not the best.
Yeah, maybe not the best. Maybe that's not the right sentence. But one of the best things. I said it again. There you go. I call it the best because it made me laugh. Most peculiar. That's a better word. The heat's getting to my brain, everybody.
It's all right. We're going to finish in a minute because I really need to pee.
Okay, but the most peculiar thing he found in an accessible toilet recently was an entire coat rack.
A what? A what? Sorry?
A coat rack.
Oh, a coat. I was wondering where you were going with that.
A coat rack.
A coat
possibly filled with coats.
I would have stolen them. Is that wrong to say? I would have been in the pocket. I would have been in them pockets, delving in.
Never leave your accessible.
Let's see if we've got a fiver in there. Let's get them credit cards going. Oh, condom. No.
There we go. If you're carrying a condom, you're obviously on the
going red there, Dan, because I mentioned condom. Are you all
right? No, it's not the condom. It's the heat, darling.
Oh, it's the heat.
But yeah, guys, so there you go. Kevin found a coat rack in an accessible toilet. Why are you going to want to put your coat on in the toilet? Who knows?
It's weird, isn't it?
It's a bit. But yeah, so there you go. He found a coat rack. Keep them coming. We want to know what crazy things you found in an accessible toilet. We've now been...
Or a non-accessible toilet.
Or a non-accessible toilet,
Let's
indeed.
not discriminate.
We're not discriminatory. But there you go. So we've given you a dodgy word of the week. We've talked about a bit of queer eye. We've talked about it being Christmas in July.
Yeah.
And...
talked about my need for a pee. So let's wrap this up. Wrap it up.
So before Sam's bladder bursts, I have been Dan Edge.
And I have been Samantha Rank.
And this has been...
Life Downloaded.
See you later, lovely people.